Okay, so we gonna talk about it. Pastors, preachers, clergy, you name it, and money. So I know in the church, by and large, there is a lot of stigma surrounding how much a pastor should make. There's a lot of issues with, yo, should a pastor be so flashy? Should a pastor dress up? Should they have a certain kind of car? Should they wear certain kind of watches? Should they make a certain amount of money? And so I want to challenge you on this episode to maybe rethink how you look at preachers and their purchases, or maybe I'm going to confirm some things that you already felt. Either way, we're going to keep it real. So, pastors and money, preachers and their purchases, huh? Where do I begin? Listen, as a pastor myself, I've always been challenged. I'll keep it 100 with you. I've always been challenged by the idea of not making people look at me a certain way, or having people, covet what I have, or say, yo, look at what he's wearing, or look at the car that he's driving. I get real funny about that, to be honest, 100%. I get real funny about that because I never want for anybody to struggle, or for anybody to get, envious of me, or to want the things that I got, because it's not all about that, right? It's about following my lifestyle, following the virtues and the faith and the righteousness of God in my life. But you can't help it, man. When you're a public figure in any respect, and I'm not trying to sit here and say that I'm famous. I'm just talking facts. When you're a public figure, even in your community or whatever small circle you're in, people look at you and people pay attention to what you do, what clothes you wear, what shoes you wear, what car you drive, what kind of house you live in. And I'll honestly say, man, God knows I've tried to be respectful of people. But in more recent years, I felt the freedom to say, listen, man, I'm going to rock my sneakers. I'm going to rock my J's. I'm going to rock my Nikes. I'm going to rock whatever special edition Adidas, whatever I got, I'm throwing it on, and I'm going to coordinate. I'm going to be fresh with my outfit because that's my Sunday's best. And people can look and say, yo, well, how much were them Jordans? But yo, here's the thing. And especially with this whole preachers and sneakers thing that's blown up on Instagram, here's what I want to put out there. A pastor wearing a pair of $100 shoes, to me, I'm not tripping, right? I got $100 sneaks. The most I paid for a pair of sneaks, keep it a buck with you, I paid $200 for a pair of sneakers before. Now, I will say this, and I will say a lot of pastors are in my situation where working at a church is not all they do. And as a matter of fact, if they worked at a church alone, they couldn't afford that stuff, because I couldn't afford that kind of stuff when I just worked at a church only. And for number two, if they just worked at a church and didn't have another job outside of it, they probably have different priorities, because you can only stretch so much, and you got to make sure the fam is taken care of. So as you have a little bit more leeway, like I've had to have some more leeway, to have a little bit more money to play with, some more discretionary funds, I've played a little bit and did a little bit of shopping. Right? Now, oftentimes what people see with preachers and pastors and clergy is they say, oh, they got all this money. Look at them. They drive in the car. They got this, they got that. But a lot of what you don't understand is business endeavors they're doing on the side. A lot of pastors out there have separate nonprofits. They have separate ministries. They got book deals. They have whole separate businesses that you may not know about. So you can't just look at, oh man, what does he look like in front of me? Is he taking all that money from the church? And yo, I'm going to tell you this. Okay, if you're sitting out there and you're saying, yo, man, listen, I got a real problem with what my pastor was wearing, what his wife was wearing, or what his kids are wearing. They look a little too drippy up here. I got a problem with what the worship team is wearing at church, whatever. If you got a problem with that, here's the thing. Instead of going off and saying, yo, man, they ain't doing nothing right with the money. How about this? How about you do the right thing and say, hey, where's the money going? Because I tell you what, in a nonprofit organization, there has to be a certain level of transparency and disclosure. You can ask, and reasonably, they can provide you that info so you can say, okay, cool. You know what? I know that everything is on the up and up, right? But let's talk about what happens when you feel like the money is funny. What happens when you saying, yo, man, my pastor's coming through in a Benz, a Beamer, and that's all he do is preach. I don't see him do nothing else. I don't think he got another business. I don't think the brother is doing anything but preaching, and he's making a grip. My man got racks on racks. Let's talk about what happened with Hillsong in a situation like that. They were racking it up on other people's money, on donations. I'm gonna say 100%, yo, fam, I think that's wrong. I think that's wrong. I think that there's a responsibility for any minister of a church to make sure that they are safeguarding and protecting the finances of that church. Because being a pastor, believe it or not, is a lot like being an entrepreneur. There really isn't a whole lot of difference. You start up your own enterprise. You start up your own business, so to speak. You begin your own organization, and you're responsible for raising funds. You're responsible for keeping it going. You're responsible for managing everything. It's for real, y'all. However, there is a temptation, okay? There is a temptation to do things with money that's funny, because oftentimes, and in a lot of churches out there, there ain't nobody going back and forth and checking on, did you spend that money right? When you swipe that card, was it always legitimate? Listen, I remember when I worked in retail and people bringing me nonprofit certificates to purchase things that ain't have nothing to do with a ministry. People do shady stuff with money. I know people who do shady stuff. I know pastors. I've known pastors who've done shady things with money. But I'm going to say this. That's not everybody. That's a few, and they're wrong. But don't get mad at a pastor who's successful and managing their money well and able to say, hey, look, you know what? I'm taking a trip. And I'm not ashamed to take my wife on a trip, take my family on a trip. Yo, I'm not ashamed of this drip that I got on. You mad? Oh, the pastor got drip. It's people starving in the church. Listen, if that church is not doing anything to help anybody, that's one thing. But I can tell you straight up, yo, you come to my church, man, fam, we feeding the poor. We're grinding in the streets. We're doing the things that God would call us to do. And so people are needs are getting met. Somebody comes to us with a need and the administration says that's a legitimate need. We taking care of it. It's not a situation where the pastor's balling and can't nobody get help. Yo, that's not how it is. But I want to tell you that your perception oftentimes can take you away from what God wants for you to know. I want to challenge you to think of it like this. If you worried about money and you focused on what the pastor is doing or what the pastor is making, ask yourself, is that what God wants me to focus on? Is that what God wants me to worry about? Or is God gonna handle that situation? Just like Hillsong, is God gonna handle that situation and it's gonna get ironed out, and God is going to see everything through. I challenge you in that, to trust God when it seems like, whoa, this is crazy. Whoa, this is shady. Whoa, pastor, a little too drippy. Don't worry about that. Set your eyes on Jesus. And so I'll wrap it up with that, y'all. We keeping it real. talking about pastors and money. Hey, hit me up, man. Hit me up on the show. PastorB772@gmail.com. Hit me up, man. We on Project Real. You can talk to me. Leave me a voice message here on the Anchor app, and we can get it popping. We can talk more about pastors and money. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you want to hear, and let me know that I cover all of this. Shout me out on social media and let me know if there's other issues that you have that I did not address in this episode. But in the meantime, we keeping it real. It's Project Real. I love y'all. God bless y'all. And I will see you in the next episode.